Thanks, John. And I think, as we're, getting ready to open this up to questions that you may have, you've heard them talk of some things that have been on your mind. I mean, one of the common things you've all said is about you're integrating social media as a strategy, part of your tool, part of your toolbox as far as your brand, be it as an individual, be it a church, be it an apartment complex, be it the chamber, print shop, anything like that. Say, how do you maximize that tool to, increase revenue and hopefully cash flow at the end of the day and get what you want out of life and your community and all that stuff. And it's not a fad anymore. And nobody's talking at it. Those are usually the five most common excuses to not to use social media. It is a fad. I think we all know that's not true. Go through all the numbers or go see the movie that's just out. I know who's all seen that. And John and I were talking that. It's amazing. It was just 2 years ago this all occurred. 500 million people, something like that. Social media is a shiny new object. I think that's something that's, we've dispelled that. We go through the list, again, of all the different social media sites out there. Although we didn't talk about, I can't afford to hire someone to help me. But again, it is very affordable, as John just kind of mentioned. But one of the things a few of you mentioned was about the value that it provides. If you could kind of each talk a little bit about how do you equate that value or the return on investment of time or money or both that you put into it? Why don't we start this way and go?
Well, like anything, you schedule out your day and you have in the morning, whether it's accounting or you do this or that, or you have someone else, you have meetings. Social media can be scheduled as a regular function of your day, and usually when I'll sit down with someone, I won't tell them, look, you got to devote an hour a day to this, or 3 hours or 5 hours a week. It's how much time can you devote to it? Answer that question, and then from there, figure out what functions you're going to perform. A lot of these tools we're talking about, you can automate it. You can set up things to go out without you physically having to type something in. If you don't have a smartphone, you may want to consider upgrading, because you can pretty much do almost everything from just one of these devices. And whether you're in the back of your shop, or you're visiting a client, or you're getting out of the shower. But although these aren't waterproof, you do want to watch that. But just in terms of making time available, you just have to start doing it. And one of the things that when I first got involved with Twitter, I'll admit, I was like, I don't get this. I'm saying stuff, and who's listening to me? Well, going back to that cocktail analogy, you don't go out and just start randomly saying stuff. We've all seen those Bing commercials where people just randomly blurt out stuff. And, some people will go in that route, but if you start engaging people, when it comes to bigger businesses and brands, people don't want to talk to an IBM logo, they want to talk to a person. And the same thing in your business. You have to look at it the same way. They don't want to talk to a sign that says Scenic City Signs. They want to talk to the owner. They want to know that you're there when you need them. In essence, you can block out your time and schedule it, and you can also do it on the fly with a phone like this.
I do think, I do think it's about a conversation, and it just allows you to have so much more interaction with who might be your potential customer or your current clients. And I don't think we can forget about the clients we already have. I'll give you an example. At my daughter's school, the headmaster tends to tweet, Facebook, blog, he does the whole 9 yards, but he tweeted the other day about the science lab, and I went on and there was my daughter. I followed the link and got to see her actually in science and all the things they were doing. And the parents at our school have just caught on to that, and we've started sending those tweets out to other people just because, it's just so great to see what your child's doing at school. And can you imagine not only the prospective parents that would be interested in that, but the loyalty he's built with the parents and how much better that is for the school. So I think that's just a small example of how that can work in a school setting. So how much better can it work in a business setting?
And as Ronell was saying, in the social media spheres, they're kind of all over the place. But you definitely want to try and get on there, and as you're monitoring what's being said about you and your company and things that you are involved with or enjoy, is to repost them and talk about them and share them with other people, because it builds a stronger sense of community. Something that none of us have touched on yet is that the ways in which we're monitoring these different avenues, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter, are using extra tools outside of these different social networks. There's a lot of third-party applications that help you put in keywords. So if you're searching for something to deal with insurance, or looking for stories on graphic design or techniques in sign making, you can put these things into some of the tools as keywords, and it helps you be able to filter all this information that you're getting in. Because one of the largest problems that you have as you start getting into social media is realizing that there's this large plethora of information, and everything kind of explodes and gets really overwhelming at first. And being able to filter is one of the very important processes that you need to kind of develop as you move into social media. And this helps you save time, and that's something that everybody in here, I think, wants to do. You see a large time sink as you get into social media, and over time you can spend a little less of your day engaging in it, just based on some of the processes that you use to either filter content and develop content. Through some of the tools too, you can create scheduling that will send out things automatically to help fill a little bit of your space, but that's something that you probably don't want to do all of the time. And afterwards, if anybody's interested, we can talk about some of the additional tools that help you monitor your social media campaigns.
I'd like to mention a couple of statistics that I think are pretty compelling if you're trying to understand whether or not you should be in the social space. And I think this is 2008 data, but it's probably even increased since then. 3 out of 4 Americans use social technology. Visiting social sites is now more popular than emailing. Consists of 10% of all internet time, and 78% of consumers trust their peers over advertisers. I think that was very compelling to me, because people are going to go out to the social web to get their advice and to understand what products and services they should be buying. 93% expect companies to be on the social web. So pretty soon, you're going to be expected to be there. And most importantly, also, destination websites are trending down. So if you look at stats over time, the big .coms, your destination website, those trends are going down, visits are going down, traffic's going down. And what's trending up are the social sites, and that will continue to grow. I think the important thing for you to consider when you're determining how you're going to play in this space is to really consider what are you trying to achieve, and set realistic objectives for what your business and what your time and resources demand. The other thing to keep in mind, platforms like Twitter and Facebook, those are just the vehicles of today. Obviously there's a lot of momentum with Facebook. I don't think it's going anywhere, but down the road it could. So there are so many other social media channels to explore. And you also need to look at it from time investment. Blogs are a significant amount of time and resources to execute well. But there are other things like microblogging on Twitter that you can do, and as everyone else has mentioned, using TweetDeck or Twitterrific. If you go out there, you can find lots of great tools that help you automate that more. If you choose just to monitor, that's another great way of just at least listening in, so that you're not completely isolated from the conversations that are taking place. So again, it's understanding what exactly you're trying to achieve, making it very digestible for you and what your resources allow, and then determining the best channels that you would like to participate in.
One of the most, and Jennifer touched on this, about determining what your business goals and objectives are. When clients come and they say, we need a social media plan. We need you to tell us what our social media plan is going to be. Well, I have to then ask, what is your business plan? And what are your other, what are your business goals and objectives? Not everybody needs a Facebook page, honestly. It's not the answer for everyone. And not everyone is going to need to just jump on the latest and greatest, coolest tool out there. Also, like Jennifer said, these things are today. We don't know what's going to happen. And you have to just think about what other tools are going to come along and other things out there that may work better for your business than they do for others. Jerry mentioned and was asking about measurement and budgets. The measurement is like one of the trickiest things about all this stuff. Because you do want to know exactly, you like to see things translate to dollar signs, and that's how a lot of businesses and a lot of other business plans are written. You've got these goals, and they're going to result in X amount of sales, and we want a percentage increase in this or that, and so when you bring in Facebook and you say, well, what's the value of one fan? It's hard to determine what you're really measuring. But and I've worked with lots of different companies, and big and small, and you really have to find something that works just for you. The value of a fan, if that's one of your terms of measurement, is maybe different for Unum than it would be for a small business. And so I think that there are lots of different ways that you can measure social media, and there are lots of different other third-party resources out there that you can. There are websites you can type in your Facebook page and see what the value the value of it is compared to another one, but that's all kind of just artificial intelligence typing in some things and it shooting it back out to you. So I really think that just as tailored and strategic as your plan in general needs to be, your measurement needs to be as well also, and that will all help with your budget. And social media is cheap, but it's not free. You still have to spend, your time is money, and you are spending your time doing this, managing these things, and that's why it's so important to utilize all those other third-party tools out there. But you can still get overwhelmed with all that. And so you do need us to have a budget for social media, just like you do for everything else, because whether or not you have the time to do it, or you may have to get somebody else to help you with that, but it's not completely free. So a budget is important, and if you want to have a bigger budget, then you got to show what it's doing for you. So measurement is going to be a really key point of that.
Thank you.
Amanda brings up a good point about ROI, return on investment, and I think as small business owners and even larger ones, we'd all agree that the most valuable type of customer, the ones that we all want, are referrals, or ones that come in the door and buy because of word of mouth. Someone else told me about your product, your service, they raved about it, and I've got to try it. I need to have it. And really, social media, if done properly, can do just that. Because going back to traditional advertising, which nobody's saying that it's disappearing. The Times Free Press isn't going out of business. The TV stations are still going to be here. But with social media, rather than you buying an ad in the paper or running a radio spot, and in essence holding up a bullhorn and talking about your business, what social media allows is for you to give the bullhorn to your customer and let them spread the word. Let them talk about your product, your service, how great it is. And really that's one way, I think, that you can start to measure return, when you look and see what other people are doing and talking about your brand, your product, or your service.